Hello? Hello? Alright, cool. We're live. What's up, guys? Thanks for tuning into BloomRadio. If you didn't know, my name is Austin Zhang. I am your host. Thank you for joining me. Today's episode was supposed to be about My Little Pony and the new My Little Pony movie that just came out. I was going to talk about my likes, my dislikes regarding the movie, and the direction I think that they should take with this new My Little Pony saga. But I'm going to save that for next week. Some headlines prompted me to sort of switch direction this week and make a little more of a serious episode. And to balance out that seriousness, because I'm a lighthearted guy, I'm a funny guy, I make jokes. I had this infographic made. This says my friends. It says people who don't like Fruit Loops, and it's all orange because all my friends are not people who don't like Fruit Loops. I don't know. I thought it was kind of funny. So yeah, today we're talking about North Korea. What about North Korea? We're going to talk about the history of North Korea, of course. We're not going to really talk about their nuclear capabilities because I'm sure that you can find an article online that tells you all about it. John Oliver just made an episode, I think it came out yesterday, about North Korea. I'm going to be mainly focusing on the history of North Korea because I think it benefits me and I think it benefits you because we didn't really learn about North Korea in school. After World War II, we sort of, either in European history or US history, went back to the respective continents or countries and went more in depth into, their economy or whatever. And this sort of Asian region of the world was left in the dark. So I've compiled some facts, a little historical summary about North Korea, and we can go through it together and sort of give us a little context to the situation that we're in right now. So after World War II in 1945, the Japanese were defeated after we dropped the atomic or atom bombs on Nagasaki and Hiroshima. So they pulled out of the Korean peninsula, and there was sort of a power vacuum there because Japan had previously colonized that territory. So the north side was controlled by Soviets and China, both of which had a communist regime at the time, and the south side was what remained there was U.S. influence, essentially. Now, in 1950, 5 years after World War II, South Korea declared independence, and the North Koreans didn't like that very much, so they invaded, and thus started the Korean War. The Korean War is sort of, I don't remember ever learning about it very much, but the U.S. took heavy losses, as did all of the participants. It was a very bloody conflict that didn't really have a resolution, ended in a stalemate. And what came of this war is that the line between North and South Korea was solidified. Now, the Soviets, originally when they had sort of influence in the territory, they named a leader Kim Il-sung, and this is the first in the long and glorious line of Kims. The other two we'll learn about later. In 1986, about 43 years after World War II, under Kim Il-sung's reign, the first nuclear reactor is active in North Korea. Now, this had no malicious intent. This was mostly an energy thing, but it sort of set the tone for this path that North Korea was going to take. Sorry, that was the Ben and Jerry's I had earlier. Anyway, so Kim Il-sung dies in 1994, and his son takes over, and his son's name is Kim Jong-il. Kim Jong-il's tenure, I should say, or reign, was not a very pleasant time, especially for North Koreans. In 1996, I was born, but North Korea also went through a massive famine. Over 3 million people died during that famine of starvation. Of course, it's a famine. Also, at that time, there was a lot of aggression between North and South still, despite all the treaties that they had signed. There was a lot of skirmishes at sea and at the border between North Korean and South Korean soldiers. Now, in the mid-2000s is when sort of this scare of nuclear weapons really peaked, because in 2003, news came out that North Korea had successfully enriched plutonium, which is the first step to building an atom bomb. And they weren't a serious threat at the time because North Korea, being who they are very isolationist. They're cut off really from the rest of the world. Their economy, according to the John Oliver episode, is the size of Birmingham, Alabama's, which is hardly enough to even create like a stadium, an NBA stadium. They couldn't even build an NBA stadium. But they're on the way to building an atom bomb. So what North Korea did, instead of actually creating weapons, is leverage this and sort of force their hand and make South Korea and the United States send them aid, send them resources in exchange for them shutting down their nuclear program temporarily. And of course, they would always run it unbeknownst to us, or they would sneak around it and start it back up. Now, nothing of significance has really happened other than the test firing of a few missiles until 2011, when Kim Jong-il died and his son Kim Jong-un took over. And that was about 6 years ago now. So tensions since Kim Jong-un has taken over have always been very, not really scary, but they've been not good, I guess. Under Kim Jong-un, contemporary North Korea, or North Korea as we know it now, is sort of like a desolate wasteland. I read an article that said they're sitting on trillions of dollars of valuable minerals, but they just don't have the technology to go out and mine it. There are labor camps scattered all over the place where they send potential defectors, where they're thrown out, in the cold and the rain with no shelter. They're beaten for days, not let out of their cells, they're not fed. And regular people who aren't even sent into the labor camps can't even eat. They're rationed 2 meals a day, and only the elite people can even buy rice, and not even meat. Only like the top athletes or the top government officials can even afford to eat meat. They don't have internet, they don't have television. Of course, everything is state run. Girls can't even ride bicycles there. The average factory worker makes $1,000 to $2,000 a year. Clearly not an ideal place to live in. Despite all of these hardships, though, the people there have sort of this almost fervent love for Kim Il-sung, not Kim Jong-il or Kim Jong-un. They're Kim Jong-un's grandfather, Kim Il-sung, who's been died since 1994. They worship this guy, almost sort of fanatics. They love their country too, despite their neighbors being dragged out of their homes and brought to concentration camps. There was a number that came out recently that 3.5 million civilians volunteered for the army, and that's probably more people than they actually have guns or tanks, which is actually pretty funny. But still, it sends a message. It says that North Koreans, despite all the atrocities they face, are still willing to die for Kim Il-sung, Kim Jong-un, and Kim Jong-il. And that sort of leads us to Trump's comments. After the bomb threat, Trump decided to answer aggression with aggression. His rhetoric of fire and fury didn't really reveal anything about his character, but it reinforced the fact that he is in fact a bully. Of course, most of us already knew this about him. It's what made him popular. It's what sort of got him elected, really. He is really good at picking which side he knows will win and leveraging that side against weaker people like minorities, like people with disabilities, people with less money than him. He's really good at this. But it seems that his tactics sort of fall short here because he thinks he's threatening the people. I laugh. I imagine him sitting at the Oval Office, on his phone, like while his staffers are running around and trying to put out fires that he's set off. He's probably asking them, "Oh, do you think they read my tweets in North Korea? Do you think they know what I'm saying? Why are they ignoring me? Mr. Donald, do you think they go on Twitter in North Korea? Do you think they go on Korean CNN or like North Korean Fox News? Mr. Trump, They don't know anything about you except for what the state tells them. And you think the government is going to tell you that you're some scary person? For all we know, the Korean people know you as an orange-faced buffoon who plays too much golf. You know what? That's a good idea, though. Maybe you should invite Kim Jong-un to play a round of golf at your Mar-a-Lago luxury resort. Be careful, though. I heard he's a great golfer. Kim Jong-il is, in fact, ill at golf. According to North Korean lore, he actually shot 36 under par his first time golfing by hitting only hole-in-one. So I'm sure our man Kim Jong-un over here has copped some of that swang. Well, let's talk about Kim Jong-un for a second. If anyone in North Korea heard Trump's threat, it had to be this man, Kim Jong-un. He is a murderer. He killed his uncle. He's killed military officials. Brutally, he's killed his own brother for trying to defect. This man is a psychopath hungry for power, desperate for control over his own country, over his people. Do you really think that he's scared of you, Donald? Now, I'm not here to lambaste the president on his ability to lead, on his grasp of international affairs. I don't have a solution myself. I'm just a kid. I have no knowledge of international politics. I have no military strategy training. This is the only way for me not to feel helpless in a situation like this. Is just to talk into a camera and talk about the situation, to inform people. All I know is that North Korea is wrong, Trump is wrong, or at least at this matter, and that so much focus has been put on by politicians for short-term success over long-term prosperity. 4-year terms, every single term is about small victories, small political victories, and nothing of substance ever comes through. But before, I don't want to get into this too much. I don't want my opinions to sort of cloud the fact that we're kind of in a dangerous situation right now. North Korea is not a country to be fucked with, even though they're just like a small little itty-bitty dot on the map. The United States can't afford to get into too many conflicts at this point. But if you're still watching, thanks for sticking with me. I'll make sure to have a better episode for you next week. If you're expecting something funny, I'll be working on it harder. Work is sort of slowing down, so I have more time to write and stuff like that. So yeah, thanks for sticking with me. Don't do drugs. Be nice to your neighbor. Eat some vegetables. Good night, Los Angeles.